Boom, 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 boom.
Yes, you
boom.
show him, Big J. You show him, mate. G'day,
Ah.
everyone, and welcome to the Centre Bounce for another Monday night live stream. It's your boy Joe, joined, of course, by Big J. How we doing, man?
Oh, mate, I am good. Another week before Supercoach starts, another 7 days, and all the teams came back from training, also from pre-season Christmas break. So lots to talk about.
Yeah, there is a bit. Of course, Supercoach still not open for all of the stingy people out there who don't want to spend money for Supercoach Gold, but it will be coming soon, ladies and gentlemen. Australia Day around the corner, or Invasion Day, whatever you want to call it, but it is a public holiday nonetheless in 13 days' time. So, keep begging Al Patton, and he might get it out for you a bit earlier.
Just make sure that you ask for the right thing before Al Patton gets it out. That's all I'm going to say.
Wait, what are you going to ask for?
Joe. Mate, before we kind of get started, a bit of condolences there for Todd Marshall. Seems to have done his Achilles and might be out for a very prolonged period of time.
He's not dead. Offer condolences. The guy hasn't died, right? The ruptured Achilles.
He's injured in football, Joe. Something bad happened to him. I can say condolences, mate. I mean, I'm not a Port fan. I'm sure there's some out there, but no one loves an injury.
No one loves an injury. Of course, it's commiserations, a bit of bad luck. It's just the way the footy game goes. Unfortunately, there's some people that get shafted a little bit, and there are others that will be taking this opportunity with both hands. It will be interesting to see what comes of it. So fingers crossed. We'll keep looking at the preseason. We'll keep looking at what happens with Port Adelaide in the preseason. Regardless, I'm not entirely sure if there's anyone Supercoach related who will suddenly come into this other than maybe some midfield players might end up spending a little bit more time forward. I'm thinking someone like a Rosé, for example, being the captain of the side, will have to do the team thing first and foremost, may sacrifice his game in order to meet the needs of the team. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I mean, surely they've got a few more coverage players. Someone down here, Michael saying, hi, Big J Joe. Congrats for another upcoming show. Fantastic. And this is the one I wanted to get to. Guys, thoughts on Jack Whitlock playing after Marshall? I mean, it's definitely one to watch. I don't think he is ready in terms of body, but I think Ollie Lord is the one definitely that a lot of the pressure is going to go to and the rewards are going to go to as well. So just give me a sec. I can pull him up in Supercoach, but yeah, I think he's the one definitely. I know a few clubs were after him.
There are a few players. That they got there. I don't think they're missing tall players. I mean, they've obviously added Lukosius as well from the Gold Coast Suns. So, Lukosius has got some experience playing as a forward, so he might just go straight in there. Obviously, there's Asava, who initially obviously started in defense and then played more of a forward. I think Finlayson might still be around as well. So can't say it's going to be end of the world over there for Port Adelaide, but
no, I don't think so. It'll
be interesting to see.
Someone might slot in.
Yeah, someone might slot in, exactly. G'day, Shawnee. How's it going, man? Happy Monday to Jaden.
What's up, Jaden?
Well, good to see ya. Skits Fitz doing the dancing with us. Yeah, on your skits. And then asking, how does Todd's injury affect Horn Francis and Rosie, do we think?
I don't think it will anyway. I think there'll be someone else to come straight in and do it. It's not like it's, Butters out and then there's a bit of a vacuum in terms of where's the ball going to go. The guy's a key forward. Heck, he's probably not even going to score a 60 average in Supercoach. So there's no issues.
Yeah, it's not like, it's a key forward who's gone out.
Yeah.
Neither Horn Francis or Rosie, neither of them are going to be playing key forward to replace Todd. So I don't necessarily think it's going to be the end of the world for a Rosie type or a Horn Francis. I think Horn Francis is only going to continue to get more responsibility. We saw later on in the season just how much he was dominating games and how impactful he was for them around the ball. So I can't see Horn Francis or Rosie being overly affected by it. He's a key forward, and they've got plenty of other tall targets that can fill the role there.
Like maybe if it was an intercept defender and they only had one of them, cool, bit of an opportunity there. But yeah, I think you're fine.
They got Finlayson. He's tall and mobile. I think that sort of fixes it up for them. G'day, Langers. How's it going?
What's up, Langers?
Hold your ghost as well. The boys are in the chat. As is Frankie. G'day, Frankie. Everyone's coming in here. Thoughts on Mattaes Phillipou? How much money do you think he will generate?
It's an interesting one because I don't think you're picking him to generate cash. I think you're picking him to survive survive the year. So in terms of money, I think he's probably going to get to, let's say, close to 500K or maybe a little bit over. But I think he's probably going to be close enough to a keeper that he's going to be a decent enough selection. I mean, we saw some times last year where he was scoring decent. And obviously that's attracted what his Supercoach scoring is now. If he gets a few more hundreds like he did in round 17, 18, we're doing really well. And I think that from memory is when he was getting some bulk midfield time. So, yeah, not too bad there from him. Heck, even the round 21 where he scored 85 and then round 24 when he scored an 80, he's still making another 100K because I think at the moment he's only valued at probably, 310, 315. So I think he's valued at around a 60. So, yeah, not too bad there.
Yeah, he's absolutely going to make you money. But like you say, Big J, you're not there to select him to make money because we saw what he was capable of pulling out towards the end of the season last year. The guy was on a tear. And it was clear that everyone sort of knows that the St Kilda Saints need help in the midfield. And they haven't really drafted many midfielders either. So it just seems clear that Ross the Boss has got Mattaes Phillipou in line for that centre bounce attendance. So that's going to be really... Oh, yeah, exactly. So looking forward to seeing him hopefully being a keeper. If not, he'll certainly make us plenty of money. Plus the DPP definitely helps. The best buy. There are too many positives for not starting. There's too many positives to starting Mattaes Phillipou and not enough to warrant fading him, that's for sure. Yeah. Trav, thoughts on Lohmann? Has been training on a wing and kicks goals.
He's not someone that's in my team at the moment just because of Mattaes. Heck, I've even got Shai Bolton, Horn Francis, a few other in there. And he kind of fits in a weird position where he's too expensive to be someone that you want to grab as cheap and then just the other way around as well. So, yeah, definitely someone to look out for. He can force himself in my team. There's no doubt. But early buy sucks too. So I don't mind it, but I do think there's better value options. And I think a lot of people are going to pick them.
Yeah, Lohmann is an interesting one.
We talked about it in our forwards video.
Yeah, the thing for me that I had reservations about when it came to picking various who won the flag the year before was it was Geelong, but there are some teams that I just feel like if you're a young player and you're coming off a grand final, how do you back it the next year? Someone like a Jordan De Goey ended the year really positively when Collingwood won the flag, and it's just like, well, how do we anticipate they're going to bounce back the following year coming off a premiership win? Obviously, every other team, except for the runner-up, hits the preseason first earlier in the off-season. They're getting prepared for next year, whilst those teams still in finals are continuing to play. You obviously have the celebrations that go on for very long. You then obviously have that lack of hunger because you've now achieved the ultimate success. So I'm always interested to see how young players bounce back from a premiership win. And that's why Lohmann, for me, just looking at the psychology and understanding that these players are human beings. They're not just, numbers, on a screen. They are real life people. And it is possible to be affected by a premiership hangover. Plus, they've gotten better over the off season as well with their acquisitions. So maybe the overconfidence might be in as well. So I'm keen to watch first how these younger Brisbane Lions players go before I trade them in. If he looks to be a top, absolute must-have player, I'll just trade him in after his bye. I'm not gonna risk it at the very start of the season.
Yeah, definitely.
Legend. G'day, legend. 2 weeks left in BBL Supercoach, and I was placed in the top 10 for a while. Unfortunately, as of late, I've slid down a little to just inside the top 100.
Unlucky, mate, but definitely to be in the top 10 for considerable part of the season in any format, fantastic. I'm not sure of the numbers for BBL, but yeah, top 10. Hats off to you. Unlucky, but still did well.
Mate, top 100 still very good. Well done, legend. Good stuff, mate. Thoughts on Adam Cerra as a pick? You want to go first, BJ, on that one?
For me, it's a no. I think there's better players around the same mark. Oliver being one of them. Probably Ashcroft, I'd pick over him even with the early buy. This year, we're going to have quite a few risks in terms of players we get into our team. I don't want Cerra to be one of them, to be honest. I think there's better players, and yeah, it's just a no from me.
So let me just as you're talking, I'm opening up DFS as well as the fixture. I can understand where people are coming from when it comes to the Cerra selection. I mean, he's previously been able to do, over 100, and he's had a few years of consistencies in the 90s. Obviously, playing at Fremantle is a bit of a different role than what he's playing over there at the Blues. He got a bit more CBAs playing for Carlton compared to when he was playing at Fremantle, where he was more of a wing type player. Obviously, playing around the ball makes it more appealing to select. Plus, if we look at their fixture, they should destroy Richmond. Hawks, I guess it depends on the fitness of the Blues. The Dogs, again, depends. Collingwood, they're not bad either now. They're pretty good. Before he plays against the Eagles, North. I mean, people think that Carlton's early fixture is really favourable. I don't really think it is, apart from the very first game. Every other game appears to be a really tough one. The Hawks obviously won a final last year. The Dogs made it to the finals last year. Collingwood, they won a grand final not long ago, and they got better with both Perryman and Houston. Yes, they should beat the Eagles. Yes, they should beat North. They probably should beat the Cats as well, but they've added some players as well. So I don't really think that it is as easy of a run as people are making it out for the Carlton Blues. Plus, it's not like Cerra. It's not like previous years. They've got a lot of good players now that are fit and firing at the Blues. They've obviously got Cripper, Walsh, who's still running around. Hewitt features in the game. They've got so many midfielders that Kennedy ended up leaving for more opportunity elsewhere. So it's a lot of point sharing, I think, in the midfield. He went to Qatar to try and fix some of those soft tissue injuries. As we can see, he has a long history of not playing a lot of games. Maybe the trip to Qatar has helped him out a little bit, but you can't just be entirely hopeful and praying that Qatar can magically fix all of your issues just because it managed to work out for Elliot Yeo.
Yeah, definitely. I think if Walsh and a couple of others were there and weren't playing this year, cool. But I don't think so.
Tatum's tantrum joke is Carlton hating Essendon bias coming up. Right.
There you go.
You guys, Carlton are gonna be top 4, all right? Don't get me wrong. Carlton are gonna be top 4, but seriously?
Yeah. Carlton can be top 4, and we can say Cerra's not. Cerra's not going to be a good Supercoach pick. They don't have to be mutually exclusive.
No. This might be a joke for now, but seriously, keep me accountable, all right? Yes, I wear my heart on my sleeve. Yes, I'm an Essendon supporter, and I don't like Carlton. But I do want to be as objective as possible. And if it ever looks and it appears that I am being salty or I'm being particularly hard on a particular team because of any inherent bias, please let me know because I pride myself on being a based supporter. All right. I want to be a
Mhm.
based supporter. So keep me based, guys. Keep me based. All right. What are we doing? It's sure you get more time. Oh, I don't think so. It will just be rotations. We know Ken Hinkley likes the rotations at the forward line. AFL is taking too long to come back.
Yep. Yeah.
Almost there. Trav Petrarca is already training? No.
Yeah, there was some. I don't know if he was doing contact training, but there definitely was some footage today of him doing laps. So they might have said, "Hey, don't," but I'm not exactly sure.
That's ridiculous, man. That is. Petrarca is a man among men. He truly is. I love Petrarca to bits so much, but I can't possibly start him in my team. You can't crack a rib after going through the injury that he suffered from before. You just
Hmm.
can't. You just can't. Can you?
Well, I mean, he did. So it's just, yeah.
Cheese. It's Cheese. Cheese is back
What's
in the
up,
chat
Cheese? How you doing, mate?
for the first time this year. Howdy, long time no see. Good to see you back, mate. Oh, he's loving the hair. Yes, yes. Thank you. Thanks very much. People telling me I'm going for a Nick Dacos type of look. No, no, no. Tell Nick Dacos is going for a Joe look. All right, that's how it
Mm-hmm.
goes. Um, Causa, g'day, Causa. Is it worth it for 3 defender premiums or 3 rucks?
Ideally, you want both. I think
Let's
this
say
year, yeah. Ideally you want both. I think this year the midfield there's a lot of money to be spent, and there's a lot of players you can go. If you don't pick a Bont, I wonder if you can go something like 5 deep and get Oliver Peatling, and then 3 keepers, and then have and then have the players. But yeah, it's a real interesting situation. It just kind of figures out where do you want to take the risks and what do you want to do. If you go 3 premiums, does that mean that you're not going to have a Mills or a Kadeen Coleman as well? You can make up some extra money there. Yeah, make a plan, and then when round 0 happens, completely change everything because that's the way that this game works, unfortunately.
yeah, with round 0, opening round, whatever, you get a free look at
Yeah,
them.
you get to see
So
Brisbane, you get to see not Sydney. No, you get to see Sydney, and then
yeah, you do.
yeah, a few other
See the
players.
Bombers. Get to see the good old the
Bombers.
Bombers if you want.
Yeah, you get to figure out if Parrish is a bum.
Hey, hey, hey. And good news, track is fine. Back at training, Clara's looking so good. Cozzy
Yep.
couldn't even catch him bursting through the stoppage.
Well, there
Oh,
you go. And if that's the case, then we've got a lock at 450k that you can keep the whole year and be very, very happy. And I think probably start to think about like what you're going to do with that kind of team.
oh yeah, no, absolutely. But yes, good evening, Tatum. Good to see you. Clara is an absolute lock unless we hear bad stuff or he misses any preseason. Can come out and
Yeah.
average on 120. Absolutely, he's the biggest lock. The biggest lock. Him and Caleb Daniel probably are the 2 biggest locks in the Supercoach side. Can you think of
Yep.
any other ones that are absolute locks? Big J more than those 2?
Uh, Not really. No. Maybe like you can't even say like a Tristan Cherry, to be honest. Like I think just value and whatnot. Cherry's very good, but decisive. I mean, both of those just have the advantage of being way underpriced for what they are, and that's a good way to kind of go from it anyway, right?
Yeah, that's true. Next one, Initiator. G'day, Initiator. Hope you're doing well. Did you catch that Durham mark? Man, Durham's mark was glorious. If it was during the season, you would have given him the car. Seriously, it was such a good. I'll actually load it up for you here. It was captured, thankfully, by Rick Edwards. Rick
Yeah, I
is
was going to say there's bit of controversy at the moment with who's released the video and then Channel 7 kind of poaching it.
Oh, mate. Channel 7 absolutely dogged it. Absolute disgrace by them. But yeah, Rick Edwards, frequent Bomber Rico, as people like to call him. Massive track watcher, always at the ground, always at the hangar, and records a lot of the footage, posted on Twitter. This incredible mark by does see a figure, but you'll see right there. Hey! That was glorious by Duz. Next minute, Channel 7, they take the footage and crop it so that his name does not show up on the footage.
Is it the full screen that they do, or do they kind of just go like where the line is and they can get through it?
Well, I don't know.
Probably
The
just
way
where the
that
line
they
is.
released it, they freaking cropped out his name, so they didn't give him
Yeah.
credit for the footage when clearly it's his footage and he's put his name on there. But they crop it out and then they put their watermark. They put the Channel 7 watermark on it, so they absolutely plagiarized and took his stuff. So Rick deserves to absolutely give him a rocket. SEN subsequently used it, so I guess you can sort of see it here. Where is it? Let's sort of scroll. See, they zoom in. You can't see his name anymore. They've zoomed in, so you can't see Rick Edwards' name anymore. So that is terrible.
Yeah, so they haven't cropped his name out. They've like cut the bottom of the video off.
Yes,
that's what they've done. Yeah,
they've
just cut it off.
Absolutely.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's What can you do?
Keen to hear how many people are going with either Shrek or TDK in the ruck slot, mate.
I think majority are. There's couple of people going Gorn, but not really. And I do think there's a few like Lloyd Meek, but early buy. Few Tim English I've seen recently. Apparently he's training quite well. But yeah, majority are either going Shrek or TDK.
Mate, get around this guy. He is in tip-top condition. You tell him, legend. Sean Darcy is a lock. He's been in my side since last year. I don't even care. Sean Darcy is my team mascot this year. This guy, mate, he is on fire. If you don't have Sean Darcy, mate, you're giving yourself a tough time, is all I can say. He is looking trim and fit. Absolutely he is. I don't know where I can where can I find the picture, but he is looking sensational. You keep reading. I'll try and find the picture of Sean Darcy.
Yep. Where are we up to? Brisbane are absolutely stacked. Like how, well, that's it. Levi, his brother's there. We talked about Lohmann and a few others kind of taking points off each other. I guess kind of with Danaher leaving the team, there is some shuffling that could happen. But yeah, there's a lot of really good players. But the beautiful thing with these good teams is that if they want to play a good player, they'll put him in the team. So, if you're in the bottom 18 to 23, you're probably worried a little bit. Sardis looked real good in the match sim for the Dons. Needs to play mid though. Totally agree. I think he's about 200k as well, so it makes a little bit of an awkward price. If he was a Neil Erasmus price, heck, even at Keiko price, cool, chuck him in there and he makes that little bit of money. But I think from memory, 200 is rated at like a 30, which is a lot different than rated as a 20. So yeah, Track and Dacos' injuries are concern. It's one to watch. I think Track, not so much, but Dacos' foot injuries are a lot different than a rib because ribs just heal, whereas foot injuries can linger and linger the entire season. Maybe it's just preseason talk, but it is one to watch. I don't think people should be starting him anyway. It's just my opinion, but I think the early buy really hurts. And he's maximum price. You want to see what happens with a Peatling. With Perryman. You want to see what happens with Perryman in the team. Plus Dan Houston as well. Does that shuffle around a few positions and then kind of dictate what's going to happen after? Here we go.
Do you see it? Do you see it? Look at this man. Look at him in his fit glory. Sean Darcy has never looked so good. And here we go. Here's another one. Here's another one from the West Australian. Even they, from December of last year. And look at him. He is looking buff, trim. It's just what the doctor ordered. He's going to be making it around through all of the ruck contests. He's going to have less strain on his body. That's been his biggest issue. It hasn't been Luke Jackson. It's been himself. No one can stop him. You can't call him Shrek anymore. That's what the Skodfather said in his video, and it's true. He's looking more like Prince Charming than ever before.
I'll be back in a second.
I love it. So yes, he's a man among men. Yes, I said that, Chase. You can quote me. Moving forward, I don't even know where the fish we're up to now. Brisbane absolutely stacked. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I'll also say Sardis Ghost. We didn't have a few players like Caldwell, for example, and Parrish. Neither of them were playing in the match sim. So it's a question exactly who he kicks out. Anyone worried at all these Crom players like Peatling, Cummings are traps? I think Peatling is more safer than Cummings. I think Cummings, you never know. He could end up playing on a wing, and at that price, I don't want to pay that much for a winger. Peatling, I think, is more reliable to be playing around the ball. He is a midfielder. He is an inside mid, and
he's cheap.
And he's pretty cheap. So, and he's done it before. End of the year last year with the Giants, playing more of that inside mid role. So, I think there's a lot of, and there's also news coming from the Crows that Laird is going to be moving back to a half-back sort of position. So there is a little bit of shuffling there in that midfield mix. Yeah, the Adelaide don't recruit these guys like a Peatling, for example, of that size to not playing in the midfield.
I think as well. Like, you talk about recruit guys of his size, recruit guys on that type of money. I mean, it was reported 900K or some bonkers number. They're now not going to say, well, you're going to play half the season in the VFL. Thanks, mate. We just wanted you for the glory of actually getting you in the team.
Yeah, exactly. Cerra was a good scorer in 2023. Just last season, interrupted all season due to injury. He's third fiddle behind Cripper and Walsh. Yeah, when fit and firing. Does George Hewitt still have a spot in that team as well?
Doherty moving to the mid as well. A couple of others. Jagger Smith coming in.
Exactly. Did you hear that, Todd Marshall? Yes. G'day, Shaz. How you doing? Well.
What's up, Shaz?
Unbranded. I can't believe this. I cannot believe this. Unbranded says hello. Skits responds to him, and Unbranded has responded to the Skits. What the fish is going on?
Yep.
Why have you never responded to me, Unbranded? You've only ever
you didn't type
hello.
in chat, Joe. That's the problem.
I have to type in chat. This is just cementing the bot theory now. Actually, even more. Uncle Akka, g'day, Uncle Akka. Port's in for a rough year, apparently.
I don't know. I think they'll be okay. They've got enough coverage around the ground that, Todd Marshall getting injured for a while, I don't think is going to kill them. Key tools are something that I think they have had a plethora of, even though they may have to move a few players around. I think they'll be okay. Charlie Dixon's still there.
True. Is Draper for Crows going to play around one, we think?
Ooh, it's one of the questions of the preseason, isn't it? There's a bit of talk at the moment saying, hey, we're going to ease him in. He's had some back injuries, some other things happening. Then there's some other people saying, sure, he's ready to go. So big wait and see.
Yeah, early on in the preseason, all the reports were that this kid is a jet, he's a freak, he's best 22, he plays straight away in the guts. But then he's sort of held back a little bit. You never know. He could play. He could be just managing him in, easing him in slowly. They have recruited some mature age talent to come straight into that midfield, so potentially Draper might not be playing right in the guts. Only time will tell. But for now, I think it might be handy knowing if he does play, how you start him in your team. You don't want a whole bunch of very cheap rookies on your bench, for example, having exhausted all of your cash and then having to scramble to rectify your side come round one if he's playing. So just better to start with him, build a team around him, and then if he's out, you can trade him out to a cheaper rookie where you'll have more money.
Yep.
Gary Spillane. G'day, Gary. Thoughts on starting strategy, guns and rookies or value/discounted mid-prices? Well, if you ask Big J, he'll tell you Why not both?
I think you kind of have to. In our forward line, we can't go guns and rookies. The mid-prices are just too good. No one's picking Rankin, Horn Francis, and then Darcy Moore, and then I said Darcy Moore again, Joe. Dylan Moore, and then that's it. Like, you're just not going to pick him. I think in other positions, a balance is the way to go, but just don't pick too much risk is definitely the thing. There's a big difference between a 400k rookie or 400k mid-price are not working and a 200k mid-price are not working. So be careful. Don't put too many guys in your team that you're basically guaranteeing that you're going to have to trade out, because there's going to be injuries, you're going to make stupid decisions, things like that, and then you're going to have to trade others out as well. So a mix is probably the way to go, balanced team. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes it's important to understand that there is value in points as well. There's value in money, but there's also value in scoring. And if you can select players that will week in, week out give you great, reliable, high scores, like a Bontempelli, for example, right? Bont is the most expensive midfielder in the comp, right? And there's a reason for this, because
He's a good player.
He's a very good player. And
he needs a haircut.
Very rare.
You've seen the preseason.
I have seen his. He needs a haircut. He needs a Joe cut, I reckon. If Bontempelli can rock this for sure. He needs to be like this, Bontempelli. But there's a reason why he's so expensive. The guy, outside of his debut season, has not gone under 100 at all. And the last 4 years, he's gone over 115. The last 6 years, he's gone over 110. So this is a beacon of consistency. Will it go away? Will it disappear? Potentially at some point. He's still in the prime of his career. He finished second in the time trial over there at the Bulldogs. So you can't say he's lost his fitness or his endurance, that's for sure. Where is the regression going to come? The regression will probably come if Bevo continues to be stupid and reduces his centre bounce attendances, for example. But they have lost McRae. They have, they've added Kennedy, but Kennedy can be a pretty decent half forward. And Bontempelli can give you ridiculous VC captaincy options on any given week if the matchup is really good. Very few midfielders have a ceiling like Bontempelli does. Plus, he has a decent buy.
I think Bont, I think a Butters, I think a Sarong. Heck, we're going to see the same with Sheasel until North Melbourne get a round 0 game. You're getting what you get, and you're getting what you pay for in terms of these type of players. There's no risk. He's going to drop probably 50 to 100k at some point. Other people might be able to jump on him, but they're not getting the 110 plus scores from him in between. So Bont, best player on the field most of the time, and you're going to be very, very happy with him. So We'll see what happens. But you can look the other way and be like, cool, Peatling and Oliver could be comparable to a Bont. Do I want either of those? Do I want to take the risk and save your money in trades? Because what makes you do really well in Supercoach, it's something that I've picked up on the last couple of years, is give yourself a really good starting team, but give yourself enough resources towards the end of the season. You can make changes, you can bring players in, you can do things where you don't have to worry as much. Grabbing Humphreys, Logan Evans, and things like that were great for me last year, and not making such a risky team where I spent all my trades kind of allowed for that to happen. Because you'll run out, and plenty of people ran out with like 5 weeks left to go. It just happens.
Exactly. So there's value monetary wise, but there's also value in the points and the reliability of not having to waste a trade. And Bont, touch on wood, has been quite consistent with the number of games he plays week in, week out. Schoenmaker over Coleman. Now, that's an interesting question. Look, there has been rave reviews from the Saints about Schoenmaker. It's true. They're liking what they see from Ari.
Yeah.
But Brisbane are also very happy with what they're seeing from Coleman. And we've seen it from Coleman as well, albeit for a very short period of time. But when he was playing that half-back role before getting injured, it was looking really good. Taking kick-ins, and that final series in 2023 was something special. And then all preseason long, he was playing that role, but then unfortunately got destroyed by injury. So I feel like we've seen it from Kitty Coleman more than we've seen it from Schoenmaker. He's gonna waltz back in. The reports are that he is playing that halfback role, and that he will be playing not only in round 0, but also in the practice games before that. So we get to have a free look at him as well. And
Yeah,
if he can stay fit, he will be good.
you're really hoping that this is the year where Kitty Coleman can be fit and then kick Zorko out of the spot. There's a piece of me that says pick neither and let other people take the risk as well. So we'll see what happens round 0, really.
Alex, what's Schoenmaker priced at again? Schoenmaker 270. So they're basically the same price.
Yeah. And one has the early buy and the other one doesn't. So yeah, Schoenmaker's not done it before. I think his highest score was like a 65. So we'll see. Thoughts on Bailey Dale, Joe? What do we reckon about Bailey Dale? I think he's about 520K. Remember, let me just pull it up. Yeah, 528K. So not terrible. Highest rated dog, playing half back. I don't think Caleb Daniel out of the team really hurts him or helps him anyway, just because they really didn't play much together. So is there a time when you just say, hey, someone else takes the risk? What do you reckon?
Man, Daily Bale. I'll call him the Daily Bale. Daily Bale. He's one of those interesting ones, man, because he plays for Bevo. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally just because he plays for Bevo that you just don't know what's going to happen. Like, he could end up having a stint where he's playing in the VFL, or he wears the freaking vest because he's the sub. You know what I mean? Like, it's something ridiculous, but he is really good. And I don't think there's a lot of competition when it comes to distributors off halfback. I think Fraser has been training off halfback and been really impressive this preseason from early track watches. So one to look and see, but he has a consistency where occasionally he can go bananas, and then occasionally he might go 80s, 70s, but then he could very easily bounce back to a 120. On average, though, it should balance out, and you get around 100. And if you're getting around 100 for Bailey Dale, and that's basically what he's priced at, right? So, 98.
Yeah. There's probably potential for a 15-point swing.
So it's not like there's tremendous
you're
value, but at the same time, he's done it before in terms of consistency, 92, 100, 190, 100. Like, that's a pretty good sample size whilst playing for Bevo, who's notorious for messing around with the magnets. He's quite good when it comes to durability as well. There are certainly worse options, I think.
Nothing. The only problem I do have with Bailey Dale as well is that he's never really averaged hugely. And I think his role gets moved around a little bit when he needs to. So there's a few games where I don't know if he got put on the wing or got stuck as a lockdown defender, things like that. Some decent enough scores, and then some scores of 45, and then 67s, and then 73s as well. So yeah, it's not the best. But for me, it's the fact that he has gone up 8 points from last year, but that's probably attributed a little bit from 2023 to 24 went up 8 points in total in Supercoach. I do think that could be attributed a little bit from Caleb Daniel no longer playing, so probably not great. But he's not a player that was expensive then this year, hasn't become expensive. He's probably been around that close to 500K mark the last 2 or 3 years in a row. And that's just a bit disconcerting because he's not really going up or down in price. You're paying for what you get, really.
Yeah, exactly. I got a kick-ins last year. Western Bulldogs. Who was on the kick-ins duty? Belliadale was the most.
Yeah.
Followed by Lockie Bramble.
Yeah, Bramble
second.
coming in really hurt.
Jason Johannesson third, but JJ unfortunately is a big injury concern. But Fraser might get a bump. He's been performing really well in the preseason.
Yeah, Fraser filling. Yeah.
Thanks, Skits, for confirming what I said.
Rodney's watching. Rodney also talked to me about Fraser as potentially being an option as well. So, yeah, we'll see.
The third premium would mean no Mills. The third ruck would be Flex and Sean Darcy. Well, to be honest, I think Sean Darcy outscores Mills anyway.
Yeah. I would be more than happy to go Sean Darcy and a rookie than Mills and Kadeem Coleman. Like, I think that's better. You're saving potentially 2 trades off it, and you're getting a set player. And you're getting someone, Sean Darcy on a good day can go 150 pretty easy. So, yeah, I think you'll be okay there.
Mate, Sean Darcy on a good day can shoot out a golden chicken, bro. He can shoot out a golden chicken, bro.
I think he score 190 last year?
I think it was the year before.
145. I feel like he scored 190.
141, 178.
No, that's 22. You've got a few years back, though.
Not last year, but the year before. But he's capable of big scores, mate. He's big scores.
Yeah.
Did you want to see Jane Bunn tonight? No, I did not see Jane Bunn tonight. Should I look up Jane Bunn after this? Maybe. We'll see. Meanwhile, Skits, anyone see a photo of Clary? So we've got Uncle Akka looking at Jane Bunn, or maybe Jane and her buns, and then you've got Skits looking at Clary. So, everyone's looking up photos today. We love to see it. Yaron, g'day, Yaron. Nothing like having you on the big screen while I cook some chicken fillets on the barbie.
There you go. Yaron, love to have you on, mate. Whenever you want, make it happen. Jump on. Love to have you in the comments as well. It's always nice. One of the beautiful things, we'll kind of go through the rest, right? But beautiful things over the last couple of years, we've really kind of built a pretty tight-knit group of people. Guys that will jump on and just say hello and talk shit, which is fantastic. So, yeah, pretty appreciative as a content creator.
Who's the player you think would overtake the Bont as M1?
Depending on if he does really well, it's probably Sarong and Butters for me. You need to have someone that's consistent, and I think it's got to be one of those two. Probably Sarong, if he can stop getting tagged. But Bont's just ability to damage when he goes forward makes him really, really tough to catch. Because even when the attention's on him, he just goes forward and kicks a couple of goals or runs through the half forward or just be a nuisance. So it's hard. I mean, he's 196 centimeters for a reason, yeah. Like, he's a good player. So, yeah.
He is the best player in the comp. Like, I know he hasn't got a Brownlow medal, but he is the best player in the comp because he is the most complete player. There is just about nothing that this guy cannot do on the football field. I don't think there's any real.
That's why it's expensive.
That's why it's expensive. Like he actually, like, and the thing is, he's because of his height, he will take that contested mark and kick that clutch goal in the last quarter, and you just see the points skyrocket. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's anyone that will dethrone him this year. I'll give you Zach Merrett potentially if the halfback role is more than just in case of tags, because Zach Merrett is already a really big accumulator, and Big J mentioned that you really need to have someone who's consistent, and Zach Merrett is a beacon of consistency. I don't need to tell you that, and to claim that I have an Essendon bias. I think we can respect Zach by far and away our best player, and he has been tagged before.
Yeah. five years at 115 basically in a row. Like it's pretty consistent.
Yeah, exactly. So if he's going to avoid tags by potentially going behind the ball and playing off half back and being a distributor for us and then moving his way up the ground as well. So that adds an extra string to his bow. He knows how to find the pill and he's a beautiful ball user as well. So it's potential. There's potential that I think Zach should be a top 8 mid this year. And I said this to Swizz, I can't see myself finishing my team without having Zach in the team.
No, you need him. He's just consistent. My only problem with Zach Merrett is I think last year it's a double-edged sword, right? Half glass, half full. Where now you hope Dylan Shields is fit, Parrish is there, Sardis is there. Cool. He's playing in a better midfield, but now he's playing in a better midfield, so potentially they're all kind of pinching what points would be off Zach Merrett. And I'm not sure if you've heard this, Joe, but seems to be some talk at the moment that Zach Merrett may play a little bit of halfback or be training halfback at the moment. So maybe Brad Scott's trying to finagle a few things and put their best ball user off halfback. So we'll kind of see what happens and track that over the preseason, I think.
Yeah, it has been happening. That's what I mentioned. Like, it's been happening more this preseason, and we've moved Nick Martin out of the back line. Nick Martin,
You'd hope though that like Pryor and a few others would have taken that spot and kept your best midfielder in the midfield.
Well, the midfield has been bolstered with the emergence of Caldwell and Durham. Obviously, hopefully Parrish can stay fit and healthy as well. So those are 3 very good midfielders already there, and preferably we want Nick Martin playing forward of center. That's where his best work is done. Playing off half back, he had a lot of turnovers. We'd much prefer having better ball use out of the back line. And if that's Zach, I don't think it's an issue because he's an ultra professional and he can work up the ground as well. Apparently Perryman in rehab group, I read something. Yeah, I read that as well, Tatum. I read that as well. Gee, sorry if you boys have already talked about this previously, but thoughts on Will Day and Big J. What do you think North's midfield mix will look like? Does Parker get in over Simpkin more so?
Will Day and Big J, mate. We could do a podcast. Will Day and Big J. I don't mind Will Day, but I think there's better picks, namely Oliver, who should end up being the same and doesn't have an early bye. I think that early bye really helps to differentiate. That's a big word. A few different players, and I think Will Day is one of them. He has the potential to go like 620, 630K easily enough. But yeah, in terms of midfield mix, it's going to be an interesting one this year. North Melbourne has a few different players coming through. I don't think Parker kicks out Simkin, but they're both going to play half forward mid, straight up. McKercher is one coming in there that's going to push a few players out. And what happens with the likes of Will Phillips? We're going to have 15 players running through the midfield at North Melbourne, and it's going to be great for Supercoach just because there's so many. But in saying that as well, we may get a few more closer to hundreds and less like 180s. So we'll see what happens. McKercher is definitely playing 100% mid or close enough with some wing and half back. I think Harry Sheasel's in and around the ball as well. There's a few others there.
Will Day is a good player, and I have floated the idea of potentially having him in the side because I think there is definitely upside. He's under 500K. I think he's around 490. And there was a period of time where he was averaging about 110 odd for a pretty good stretch. 10 games, 114 he was averaging. I don't know exactly what happened here. The Giants, they tagged him. And then he got injured against Carlton in round 22. So I guess before that tag, he had a 10-game stretch going 114. Like, that's really impressive. And the year before that, obviously, Big J, you're a little unlucky with the injury, but he was a lot cheaper back then, and he also was doing really well. So he's in the prime of his career, and the Hawks are going to only continue to get better. you'd hope that he'd have a bit more luck when it comes to his injuries. Before the last 2 years, he wasn't really a super coach option. But now that we're talking about him, and it's no coincidence that his CBAs have gone up, and he's been a really impressive player. He's one that you get a free look at in round 0. I'm pretty sure. So have a look. What's his CBAs like? Does he continue to have high CBAs? If so, I do think he presents value at that price. Pump up the traps, boys. That's what we do, mate. That's what we do. So that we can try and get it. Nah, I'm kidding. We haven't pumped up any traps so far. Come on. Unbranded is branching out. Skits happy. Initiator tried to get a response from Unbranded, but it hasn't worked. No. It hasn't worked. Skits is in control of Unbranded. There you go. You are the imposter among us, Skits. You are controlling Unbranded. It is confirmed. Tatum, which coach are we all picking to get sacked first?
It's an interesting one, right? And I think it's Hinkley. Obviously, there's been a few other coaches that have been leaving. I'd almost want to say it's the Simon Goodwin stay. Maybe not. If they come out and they suck, man, I don't know if he's going to keep his job or not.
I don't know. I feel like between Nix and Longmuir, if Freo should do really well this year.
He's not getting sacked.
If Freo don't do well, and a lot of us are expecting Freo to do well, then I think there'd be a lot. He only got the 1-year contract extension, so clearly there's not a lot of faith there. So if Freo go to shit this year and they choke again, then massive alarm bells for Longmuir. And I think Nix has been in the system for quite a few years now. That rebuild really should be wrapping up, and they're recruiting for the now with both Cumming and Peatling coming in. So if they also don't do well, then I think there could be alarm bells for Nix. What do people do? We got some people saying, Cheese, there you go. Matthew Nix is a useless one. I agree with you, Cheese. There you go. Bevo and Bevo. Bro, if Bevo was going to be sacked, he would have been sacked by now.
Mate, if he didn't win a grand final in 2016, holy moly, Joe, he would have nothing to cool. No reply of Brad Scott. Give us a Brad Scott.
They're kidding, Skits. We're kidding. There we go. Jaden, Coleman, Baz, and Mills all round 3 by, plus Dacos, Stewart, etc. How many of these players is okay to start with? Well, I think a lot of people are going to have Baz.
Yeah. I might not, though. I might go Shy Bolton. We'll see. The thing is that to a certain extent, you're saved by the fact that it's best 18, because you're going to have a good week or a bad week where, cool, one of your primos scores an 80. That's basically what a rookie's going to score. Yes, I know. But at a certain point, you have to kind of realize, hey, look, my team of $10 million is now worth $8 or $9 million compared to someone else's team that's full. I've made some pretty decent teams that have no early buy round players. And just having that advantage means so much compared to everyone else. Like, you can have one 300K defender or a forward or something like that. But to start missing like premiums and things like that, it's like why Will Day is not in my starting team at the moment. Why we've been so focused on guys like Oliver, even though they're cheaper. It is just because last year the people that finagled and they did quite well in the early rounds are the ones that did quite well towards the end. Because once you cement your spot, it's just about making the good trades and not having to push into the top 100 versus, hey, actually having to break in there because you've made some bad choices. So I probably wouldn't pick all 5 if you're saying those players. Try and keep Try and keep it. Look at it this way. Try and keep it to around 700K. That's not playing. Be that 2 primos. Be that, or maybe $1 million. Be that 2 primos. Be that a couple of mid prices. But yeah, at some point you're missing out on some good players. And I guarantee you that the week that Mills is out or Baz is out, the guy you could have picked has an easy matchup. So something to consider there as well.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, when it comes to those premiums that are missing an extra game compared to the ones that are not, if you look at, for example, say you've got a player who averages 110 for the whole year, okay? They average 110 for you. And then you've got another player who averages 110, but they've missed one extra game. So what does that mean? So you got 110 over the span of 21 games, and you divide that over 22 rounds. He's actually averaged you 105 really for the season, as opposed to the other one who's averaged you 110 by playing all of those games. The reason why is because there was 1 week that he gave you a 0 compared to someone else. Now, of course, you're going to say, but it was offset by the player on the bench that was substituted in during that bye week. But ultimately, if you have the better player who's playing for you 1 extra game, plus you have a player on the bench with the best 18 format, you're going to get yourself more than likely a better score during those weeks anyway. So there's just an extra benefit there to having the non-buy there
as well. It's a higher chance that you'll score better that week.
Correct. Thoughts on 9K players: Boyd, Arthur Day Wicks, Jaden Ewan. Look, we like Arthur Day Wicks. We like Jaden Ewan, but it's a tough
that's how you spell it, though. New guy and.
I know what he means. I'm not.
I know as well.
We're not here to point out that he is culturally insensitive when it comes to spelling of last names. Well, that's not what we're doing here, all right? That's you, all right? That's you. Right. We knew what he meant. I think Boyd for sure. He's the 99K St Kilda rookie on the bench. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, lock him in. You're gonna. I think he's our R3.
Is he in the game yet?
Not yet. No.
Okay. What's the prediction that St Kilda decide not to pick him? Would they just not, or are they just saying, "Cool, we're going to give you the entire preseason. You're going to be the best player." Oh wait, well, thanks, mate. Thanks. Your reference check didn't come through. Sorry.
Nah, he killed it in the sandful. Rowan Marshall is actually a very decent forward. They need to help out Max King. They've lost Membry. I think it just fits perfectly that a bit more forward time for Rowan Marshall. Get Boyd in, ready-made player who's been dominating in the sandful, a very good ruck. So I think they'll play both. And I think Boyd is a great R3 option. Arthur Day Wicks can be anything, but he's still a bit raw from our training, development player. And Jaden Ewan, he has pleasantly surprised this preseason with his burst of speed. I reckon he's a decent chance during the season to get a gig, especially if there's injury. We'll be fighting for the spot with not Kako. I think Kako is locked into the side, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's fighting with Davey during the course of the season, and Guelphy if he's injured. So not to start with, maybe later. G'day, Tony. How's it going?
What's up, Tony?
I don't think Bont loses ball winning ability. I think it just means that more responsibility on his shoulders, which potentially means less forward time for him, is the hope. The hope is that with teammates gone, it means that he needs to play around the ball, which means that more CBAs, more contested possessions, more knock-ons, and more score assists when he glides out of the center bounce. So, if anything, it could be better initiator.
He could, though, in saying that, because he's not playing as much forward time, he could end up missing out on a goal a game worth of scoring because he's not resting there or something else like that happens as well. So just one to watch. I think Dogs have a few players going through there, and I think the likes of Riley Sanders is hopefully going to feature a little bit more for them.
Magnus, g'day Magnus. Ed Allen's
Magnus.
season with Dacos injury. Okay, it's not like he's completely injured. He's managing it. It's not like he's completely injured.
It's not like he's just done his ACL or his Achilles. Like he's still going to play. He just might not be the lock of a selection like he was a couple of years ago, or he was last year when he had the early bye last year, or no? I think he did. But a lot of people still had him as a lock. So yeah,
the go-to penalty. Yep, absolutely. Last season, Channel 9 used a picture I took in the crowd at a game when they aired it. It said "Imagine" by Channel 9 in the corner. Well, there you go. See, this is another example of mainstream media, big channels, absolutely taking advantage of the grassroots supporters who are lovers of the game and take their footage and their content, and then it gets absolutely stolen by the mainstream media. I salute you, Tony, and I'm very sorry. How dare they? That's absolute poor form.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it would be something like, well, we've got the rights to do whatever we want in terms of that kind of stuff. But yeah, if they're just pinching it off everyone, make sure you watermark stuff and be prepared a little bit, I guess, for a case of, well, if I put these things online and it's really good content, someone else might nick it.
You're going to have to fully do those. Yeah, like the full watermark across the screen.
I've seen some dodgy ones, though. I've seen Channel 7 have that across there. And maybe it was Channel 9. No, I think it was SBS, had SBS across the middle. And then Channel 7 came in and blurred that out. So it was just a big blur line in the middle. And you could only see the top and bottom, and they still aired it. Like an accident or something else like that happened. It's like, oh, well, too bad.
What a joke. Finn O'Sullivan. Mate, it's Finn O'Sullivan.
Mate, there you go. Finn O'Sullivan. Hope you do well, mate. Be very, very happy with you in North Melbourne this year. Yeah, fantastic. Caleb Daniel F6. I think that's where he's going to end up. And if you can keep him for the whole year as F6, you're doing well. In terms of Supercoach starting him at F6, I think the way that it's trending now is that you probably want to spend a little bit more in the back line, and to think that there's only going to be two worthwhile forwards, I think is a bit of a farce. So you can do it, no problem. But I think the trend at the moment seems to be maybe a Tom Lynch or maybe a Curson or maybe someone else at F6 and then Caleb at Daniel at F5. You can still get Horn Francis, McRae, a Shai Bolton, Mattaes, and then someone else and then Caleb Daniel. But to have him at F6 means you're spending a lot of money in the forward line, which potentially could mean, hey, you don't have a good flex pick. You don't have these other good undervalued players. So, yeah.
And there are options at F6, like Elijah Hewitt or Dan Curtin or Erasmus, who's been playing inside mid in the training for Fremantle.
Cleary's got a couple of options there, I think, as well, and some other players. So, don't hamstring yourself.
Correct. There are options at F6. Don't overspend in the forward line. Tony. Thoughts on avoiding Sheaswell, Bont, Flanders, Butters? Which top dollar and more chance of dropping than rising in price? Flanders, yes, I'm fading.
Flanders, 100%. I have a coaches panel video coming out where I talk about Flanders, and I think he's the one that's going to drop down. I think we'll be able to get him at a lot cheaper. Potentially Bont as well, but you're probably going from 680 to 580. If that's good enough for you and losing out on a couple of decent scores, then no worries. But he's so expensive when it comes to the magic number that if he needs to average like a 115 plus just not to lose money, or a 120 plus just not to lose money at the start of the season. So, yeah, the other guys around that 620, 630, 640 mark, I think can hold out a little bit more than he can.
Look, if you think Sheaswell's going to cop more of a tag this year, if you think Butters is going to cop more of a tag this year, because they're clearly up there in terms of the best players on their teams, then you might certainly find that there is value in fading them. But where the Butters appeal comes from is, I guess, the consistency now of him having done it for a bit more time. He's obviously got a really high ceiling. He's not going to lose CBAs to anybody. He's got the best buy, sharing it with Fremantle or St Kilda. No, sorry, it's Fremantle and St Kilda that have the best buy. So Port still have a decent buy this year. He's had a couple of years where he's gone over 110. Obviously, injury has impacted him a bit, but you can afford. You can afford. Obviously, it's risky, but you have to risk it for the biscuit. If you really feel like, given the format this year, being a lot of it best 22, you've got an extra player that you can field, and you really want to spread the load when it comes to value all across the board, and you don't want to necessarily spend top dollar for these players, and you want to go for more of a mid-price madness, look, that's an approach you can take. It just means that, yes, you might be saving money on these selections now, but you will be trading out those mid-prices down the track, and you will be spending trades for it moving forward.
Look, if you can make your team, we've got 22 players on field, right? Flex, I don't know if that counts, yes or no. If you can make your team where you have 8 or 9 players maximum that you think you might have to trade out, that you're planning to trade out, cool. You're doing well. If you start going to 10, 11, 12 players, and let's be honest, right? Kadeem Coleman's not going to be a top 8 pick. So at some point, you're going to have to trade him out. A few players like that. Potentially in the forward line, you can get away with keeping Mattaes, Bailey Smith, Jack McRae, Caleb Daniel the entire year. Cool. But everywhere else, the mid prices probably aren't going to make you enough. Potentially a Peatling. Don't hamstring yourself by being like, well, I'm going to make 50 points on this and then spend a lot of trades just to fix my team, because we're going to get injuries. We're going to get players that you haven't predicted, and then you're going to get stuck being behind the pack to start the season. And it's not fun to have to come back from that, really.
Laylaw or Draper says that the Bombers on you, bro. If I had to pick one, I'd pick Draper. Laylaw is just a big lumbering kid who surprised people by training, but they're in no rush. They know they're going to win the spoon. They're not gonna risk him. I'd go with Draper.
I guess the only negative is that if Draper doesn't play, because they're saying, hey, look, we're going to not rush him, then you're going to have to pick Layla anyway. But I think there's better options at that price. Let me just pull up my cheapy midfielders. I don't think it's going to be Callan Dawson. No, not Callan. Finn O'Sullivan. But Jagger Smith potentially could be there. Let me just quickly, 1 second.
Yeah, Jagger Smith.
Nathan O'Driscoll as well. Potentially Ed Allen, Sardis, depending on what his position's like as well. And then you get down to the Draper and Smiley and a few others too. Big one to watch is Sheldrick, even though he does have an early buy. He's due to explode. Just depends on what Cox wants to do, really. And a couple of others there as well. So don't feel like you're hamstrung too much into picking, guys like Draper. But just be aware that, hey, look, he's a very, very good player that has a good engine. And we know what guys like that in terms of Darcy Wilson did last year. So if he's fit, I think they'll play him.
Ed Richards moving to the mid should also help Dale get more. Well, yeah, you would think so.
The same thing last year. A lot of Ed Richards' good scoring last year was because of that mid time. So it's you're not. I don't think it's going to change too much.
Well, Richards got a lot more.
Yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Bumped up to 44%.
From basically nothing the year before, or nothing at the start of the year, to halfway through getting 60s, 80s, 30s, 40s, 50s.
It's Bevo. It's Bevo. Yeah. You just never know what you're going to get.
But I don't think Bailey Dale's affected as much by him. I think it's more Bramble and a couple of others who are just taking the spots, really.
And Fraser.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. Rodney. G'day, Rodney.
What's up, Rodney?
Tom Dode, the forgotten injured Brisbane player with everyone talking about Coleman.
Yeah, he could be. I think the price is probably the toughest thing, plus the early buy. Um, is his body right? That's another question as well. And where does he play? If he plays, are we expecting 80? Are we expecting 70? I don't think he's going to come back and be the number one defender. So there's just a lot of questions, really.
He's not ready to go. He won't be ready for the start of
No.
the season. Coming off an ACL
I got
injury.
I got a question for you, Rodney. If you post in the chat, what's this talk about SDK apparently playing main ruck? So let us know.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Initiator. Taranto. No, not for me. The guy is
who's going to take over Bond. That's the main guy.
Harley Reid, the future Bond. Maybe in Essendon colours, perhaps, but not yet. Not yet. Peter Damianos is asking about Kane Farrell. Stab in the dark.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
It's a stab in the dark, is all I'll say.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so as well. I think there's quite a few players that are potentially all playing the same role. I think last year we can go off a little bit of what they are going to do because Houston didn't play those last few games. Logan Evans, apparently Josh Sims apparently going to be in there as well, and then Farrell too. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting one. Heck, even Ryan Burton, as you see there as well. There's quite a few players that are going to be there. If you look at Logan Evans, bro, look at him. Like, that guy's a beast. We know what he can do.
The line share. Line share. When Houston went out. Yeah.
Just went straight in. So Farrell, a lot of people are looking at. A lot of people in the community are looking at as well, but I'm not touching him until round 0. Well, not round 0, until the preseason games, just to see what's up.
But even then,
let someone else take the risk. Let someone else take. There's better options. You're only losing probably out on 150k, and then potentially making up a lot more in points by not selecting him.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many chefs. I mean, if it's not Farrell, it's Burton. If it's not Burton, it's Evans. Yeah. It could even be Sin. There's too many chefs in that back line for Port. Lethal Leadham says Jordan Dawson on your watch list. MJ from Coaches Panel made the good point. If Crouch is out of the side, Dawson could average 115 and above.
Yeah. Watch list, definitely. But I think that's not with the likes of Peatling and then Draper and a couple of others in there too. I've heard some reports that he might actually move back to halfback, where he kind of played a little bit when it was his first year into the team. So just one to kind of watch out for there as well. They're changing up a lot at Adelaide, and I think there is going to be some set selections, but then there's really going to be some players that are moving in and moving out and figuring out what they're going to do because they need to make finals. Does that mean that they put a lot more ball in Jordan Dawson's hands? Potentially. Does that mean that they put a lot more ball in guys like Saligo's hands? Potentially as well. So I think it kind of comes down to game plan too. And I don't know if Jordan Dawson's the quickest type of player. And they might just throw it into the hands of the young guys and say run forward and kick it to our, Tex Walker and Thilthorpe and a few of the other guys. So, yeah, a lot to play out, I think, at Adelaide.
The thing with Dawson, there are so many players going through that Adelaide midfield now. Like, even Saligo could be taking that next step. There were periods last year where we saw Saligo look like he was breaking out. So obviously there's Crouch. I'm not sure if Crouch will 100% be kicked out of that midfield mix because he can't play anywhere else but there. So maybe Crouch, Saligo, Peatling, Rankin we saw started to get some midfield time in there as well. Plus the thing with Dawson is that he is so talented and he is such a good player that he can genuinely play anywhere on the ground and do really well. He can float as a +1. He can play on a wing. He can pinch hit forward if the team needs him. It was quite infuriating. I started him last year and it was tough to watch because I just rate this guy incredibly highly. But the problem is so too does Adelaide, as they should. He is their captain and he does occasionally play that selfless role for the betterment of the team. And you can see it's a bit of an all over the shop. 59% CBAs with 6 kick-ins. So compare that to the year before, it's nowhere near as good. And you'd think maybe Adelaide's a little bit better. I just need to see where he lines up. I need to see in the preseason where he's likely going to play. If he's playing midfield and then floating into defense, a bit like that Stewart role, then I think there's definite value there. Plus, he has that round 15 bye. But right now, I'm happy to keep watching over the preseason.
Yeah, I mean, Adelaide have a very good run to start the season. So there are a few other teams in a similar position. If he turns out to be a gun that we must have, 550k, I'm very happy to downgrade a Bond to him before round 1.
But Nix is hopeless as a coach, so hard to trust Nix. I did not hear about Ben Hobbs getting on the pingers. No. Thoughts on having Bolton instead of Horne-Francis?
I think Horne-Francis, just his natural trajectory, is someone that you must have, but I'm more than happy to say no Bailey Smith. Spend 20k more and get Bolton in. No early buy, bit of a pod type player, but it's hard to pass up Horne-Francis. I mean, the guy averaged 100 last year, didn't play that well. Should have got DPP, but he didn't, and now he's probably going to be F1 locked in. If he keeps up this level of scoring, he's F1 locked in. Like, yeah, it's a rough one not to pick him. You don't want to be the guy that doesn't have Horne-Francis. Similar to those that didn't start with Flanders last year. You just got smashed. Mate, I said if Jordan Dawson becomes a must-have, if he's got this dominant role and doing fantastic, but I've made plenty of scratch teams so far that doesn't have Bontempelli locked in. The guy is very, very expensive. You only need to make sure that come round 6, 7, 8, you've got enough guys to actually get Bont in if you've got comparable scoring. And Dawson could have that comparable scoring. Half a dozen other players could have comparable scoring as well. So it's not a must-have Bontempelli. It's like a lot of people didn't pick Lockie Neal when he was 700k, and that worked out fine for them. A lot of people didn't pick other people as well. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, 100%.
Melbourne right off the bat.
Yep, we'll see. Bont might not get stopped, but we might actually win that game. So we'll see.
He's got Collingwood. Collingwood midfielders can't defend for crap. They've got no answer for Bont. Carlton might be a tougher matchup. Freo, Shrek can make it a difficult matchup. Brisbane at Norwood could be a difficult matchup. Saints, depending on how the Saints go, could be a difficult matchup. Then the Giants, difficult matchup. Hey, there might be a value here in fading the Bont, but I'm not doing that.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Dead end. G'day, mate. Thoughts
happening?
on LDU as an M2 or M3? Started slowly last season, but had a great rib.
One to watch in the preseason. I think there's definite people that will pick him and that will do well. It more just depends on how many of the absolute locks. Like for me personally, the absolute locks, I mean, I just talked about not picking Bont, but the absolute locks could be Bont, Sarong, and Butters as your kind of 3. Now, if you're only going to pick 5, you go LDU and then Oliver and then scrap Peatling and everyone else. Cool. Do you go another way? It's an interesting one for me. You really want some of those bigger scores than the lower ones, obviously. Bit of a wait and see as to what North does for him. Because we know the ceiling's there. The guy can pop out big numbers. It's not a problem. It's just making his floor not so low. And then the points are okay.
The question is he checking out or not?
No, he's staying. We're not having 8 months of LDUs going, Joe.
Is LDU going to leave? He hasn't signed yet.
I'll squash it now.
Oh, I love it. Don't care. Good to see you.
100%. 100%. I just don't know if they will, and I think they like TDK to be able to move around. So I don't know if they will. There's some talks as well that Pitnet's on his last contract and a few other things happening and whatnot. So yeah, we'll see.
the thing is, I love it. Maybe by the name Don't Care. Maybe that's actually Vossi himself who doesn't care.
Hmm.
And going with the Don't Care. What are the players with the awful buy? Let me just move this across here. This is a little snapshot of what the buy structure is like. So obviously the bad buys are Brisbane, Collingwood, Geelong, and Sydney because all four of them are there.
Yeah, I would almost argue that the buys that have two teams out are worse because you picking someone like Flanders hurts you a lot more than, let's say, someone picking Josh Dunkley because there's three other teams that have players out as well, right? You don't want to be the one guy that's got Will Day and everyone else has 23 playing and you've only got 22. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
but
you don't want to be the odd one out. You'd rather go with the pack and have a few players out than be the one that you're the only guy that picks Zach Merrett. Oh, wait, everyone else has now more primos than you in this week.
yeah, but you still have the flex and you still have best.
Oh, of course.
You're missing one player, whereas in this buy, if you have Coleman, Dacos, Bailey Smith, Callum Mills, or Matt Roberts, you're missing. You're missing 4 or 5 players from that one.
Yeah, but there's
So
more
you're really
that,
depending on a good bench, and the
yeah,
rookies aren't necessarily the most reliable.
you're betting though that in that particular week, you're betting that someone will at least have one or two players out. Versus if it's round 2 or 4, you might be the only person that's got a player out, no one else does.
Yeah, but you're missing one player, whereas in this case, you could be missing, or you're missing one less player than them. But if you're loading up on these players, then you're missing more than your opponent is.
Yeah, I'd rather have everyone missing out than me be the only one, even if it's between 1 or 2. Or just don't pick players from these teams and be happy.
Exactly. Just don't pick early buy team players and you're happy.
You
don't miss out on any players.
Nope.
But yeah, this is just if you want to take a screenshot of this, help yourselves. It's a very clear image there. And Louise, hi guys, Happy New Year, and to you as well. Brad Scott to get sacked and bring Hurd in.
We'll see.
Mate, Hurdy's too busy going through a divorce at the moment, so let's not talk about Hurdy at the moment. Hey, Brad! Happy New Year,
What's up, Brad? How you doing, mate?
Good to see you, mate.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
And Klopp as well.
How you doing, Klopp?
We got.
I tell you what, Joe, Klopp has to be the most positive person in the Supercoach community. Every day is something nice, even when it's not a nice topic. It's just like, oh, I hope these guys do well. I hope they recover.
It's because he barracks for Essendon. It brings out the best.
He's gone over the hump now. That's it.
It brings out the best in people. Oh, mate. Reed O'Brien, thoughts on SDK this year? If he's playing main ruck,
100%.
could be value in defense.
He's a good price too. Like, for the same reason as people picking Peatling, is people going to pick SDK. Yes, he does have the early buy, which is something to watch out for. But 350k means that, cool, if he makes 150k, then it's doable versus 450, 400, where you're picking those guys to be keeper, pretty much. A Primo may drop to just under 500k. SDK jumps up. Cool, you're doing okay. When he played ruck, though, how did he go in the ruck, Joe?
So, ruck contests over 50%.
Yeah.
He has 5 games in which he averaged 95.
Yeah.
And he's currently priced at 67. So that's almost 30 points under, what he's capable of if he's getting more than 50% of the ruck.
Did he just get smashed in those 2 games that he scored really poorly in? Or was it like a positional thing?
In the first 2 games?
No, like the 64 and the 50, the 58 in his ruck. Like when he was doing ruck, did he just
yeah.
get smashed, or was it like injuries, or like just didn't line up there? What
He had
kind of happened?
78%. He had 78% TOG in this one, so I don't think
Yeah.
it's injury with
Okay.
72% CBAs. I'm just guessing that
Just
he
got
got beat
beat.
in the ruck by Essendon. Yeah, of course he got beat by Draper. Draper's a beast, mate.
Oh, Draper,
Of
number one rock. Oh,
course he lost to
oh.
Draper, mate.
Of course he lost to
And then
Draper.
the other one was this against Mason Cox, perhaps. I mean, it's hard to beat Mason Cox with his height, or Darcy Cameron. Oh, Darcy Cameron went berserk.
Yeah.
58 hitouts. Darcy Cameron compared to
It was a big week for Darcy Cameron.
oh my 7 and 12 hitouts
Yeah.
Blixarves. So he was sharing it with
Yeah.
freaking Blixarves,
Yeah.
who had 12 hitouts compared to 58 alone. Darcy Cameron ate them for breakfast.
Oh, yeah. They knew they weren't going to win that hit out battle. They
They
still won the game though, so unlucky
Great.
for Collingwood.
Rodney, coach, the caliber of Longmire being in the market definitely puts extra pressure on already under the pump coaches and their clubs to make the correct decision. Exactly.
I think and we're talking about John Longmire from Sydney, right?
Correct.
I think there's some pretty big talks that he might go off to Canberra, not Canberra, Tasmania. So yeah, I think we're okay.
Yeah, right, mate. Yeah, right, mate. Reed, top 3 mid locks this year. Bont, Butters, Oliver.
Yeah, potentially. I like Sarong. If it's players that we have to lock in at the start of the season, I quite like Oliver. Given full fitness, I like Butters. I like Sarong. Bontempelli, you can lock in as well. But just expect that he's going to drop a couple of stinkers at some point and everyone else is going to get him a lot cheaper. So, yeah, there's that to take into effect as well.
Gotta risk it for the biscuit. You know it, mate. With an uninjured preseason, hopefully, about Lynch. Apparently, Lynch
Yeah.
training really well.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard he's pretty fit as well.
Pay for what you get with the primos, though, I reckon more times than not.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. Yeah. And that's why we tried to make up money in terms of mid prices and rookies and things like that to get full primo teams, right? I mean, a lot of the times over 600K players are over 600K for multiple years because they're very, very good. Sarong is very, very good over 600K. I think Butters was pretty close to 600K or was 600K to start last year and definitely got there as well. So know what you're getting paid for.
Exactly.
Similar to a lot of questions today about Bailey Dale. I mean, the guy's been 520, 540K for like the last 3 years because he's valued at 520, 540K. And that's what you're going to get that price equivalent for him.
Lang's asking about Sam Walsh as a starting pick.
Is he fit?
It seems that he hasn't missed a preseason session. He's trained every single one. You know, people are saying that he's fully fit. He was fully fit this time last year as well. I'm happy to keep waiting. But if he is fully fit and he's pumping out 111s and 130s and
my scroll up, Joe. My biggest problem with Sam Walsh. I just mean 2024 scores. My biggest problem with Sam Walsh is it's blatantly evident there. The guy would get 60 at halftime, would get 70 at halftime at points, and then finish the game on at 95. I don't know if it was a Carlton thing or just Sam Walsh, but check out his disposal efficiency. It's not great in a lot of those games.
Disgusting.
70%, 50%, 60%. It felt like a lot with Sam Walsh that when Carlton started losing, it just became Walsh bomb the ball forward and hope that one of the two forwards could mark it or something could happen, which just killed his scoring. It's a no from me. I think there's better options, but it is something to watch out for in the preseason if things change. If maybe they're going to use a few more runners or what happens and not make it just so forward dependent, because it was hard owning him at 550, 570, 600K, scoring at 89 and 90 when other players were scoring 140s because those 30 points here between two primos adds up pretty quick.
It does. It does. And the problem is that the clangers and he's not getting full. Like you look at the disposals and thinking, oh wow, this guy, lock him in. There's so many disposals, but the problem is a lot of these disposals are grub kicks or they're turnovers.
Like
he's
like
not
28
making the
disposals
most.
at 50%, like or 70%. You know, it's not great.
I had trouble something the other night. It was the night I took Bont out of my team. That does that to you.
When you can do it and then you can bring in like a primo that you didn't think you'd have, or upgrade a Peatling, or Kadeen Coleman now becomes Harry Sheasel because you've downgraded Bont to LDU. Like, you won't be worried too much.
Hey Woody, how you doing, man? Doing well. Good to see you. Thoughts on picking players in contract year? Very tempted by deconning LDU. That means you'd also be really interested in one Andy Brayshaw out in Fremantle as well.
Yeah. I wouldn't be swayed so much by just being contract year, but I think it's definitely a factor. It might as well be like it's two-sided, right? The player potentially plays better because they want more money, or the club now puts them in a more favorable position because they want him to stay, right? Hey, look, come play midfield. It's going to be fantastic for you. Or TDK's instance, cool, you're going to be solo ruck. I think as well you have to factor in where the team is. There's multiple factors there. If it's making you think between two players, I think, it's a tough one. I don't. It's something that I don't consider, unless you're Jake Stringer or someone like that, and it's just like, well, that's how it goes, right? I think there's a better one. I think there's a better picture than that as well.
Sam Walsh.
Yeah.
You naughty boy, Sam Walsh, mate. This is literally every Carlton supporter. Every Carlton supporter, every time Sam Walsh takes the field, bang, immediately. I don't know. I'm trying to think of who was a recent midfielder that had a contract year that ended. I mean, look at Hayden Young. Hayden Young had a contract year
Didn't he just
year.
re-sign again? I heard Kane Corns having a bit of a sook about it, being like he signed and then he re-signed again.
Yeah, I mean, Hayden Young had a contract year, average over 100 for the first time, playing more on the ball. It's possible that you want to hold on to these players. You give them more of what they want. DeConning obviously wants to be the number one ruck. There's a lot of teams out there that would kill for a DeConning in the ruck. So, yeah, DeConning I think is in my side. I got him at flex at the moment. LDU a bit injury prone. Also a few more chefs in the kitchen potentially. All right, where are we? Jeez, what screen am I up to? I'm trying to scroll. Why is this not scrolling? Well, unless we've reached the very end of the comments. No, not yet.
No, I don't think so.
Sorry, I had an issue there. All right, I clicked the button and it's working again.
Sorry.
Skits Fitz is taking the risk with Farrell. Good luck.
Yep, go for it. 100%. You can always trade him round 2.
I'm looking forward to the preseason games every day for like 6 days. Miss footy bad. Might have to watch. Mate, I'm gonna go and watch Anzac Day 2009. That was the.
At least I have the AFLW. I got the AFLW grand final to watch now. Guess that's something, right? North Melbourne hasn't been great for a while.
Finn Callahan after bye. After the bye.
There's a lot of points and money to be made in that GWS midfield now. Hopefully Callahan's the one to do it. I could totally see Cogs and a couple of others coming through. Or they do have some other rookies, but Callahan is poised to go bang. It's just rough. Like Oliver being 450k just murders the selection of these guys, and you'd probably pick one of them. So it's really tough.
I agree. Ian, I'm thinking Adam Treloar is a great pick. It might not be highly owned.
Mate, if Adam Treloar can stay fit for a season potentially, but the guy's getting old, right? Yeah, it's not making it easier for me to pick him.
He's not going to have any value. I think he had a career best year. He's not going to do any better than the way he played last year, All Australian. He really was very impressive. I can't see him bettering the way he played last year. He is definitely going to drop in price, and his injury history is quite bad. Apart from last year, where thankfully he managed to string together a full season, but it's very hard to trust, and I think he's maxed out. I don't think he's going to get. I think
you're
paying full price for him.
Yeah, you're paying for what you get. He probably drops 5 points, maybe. Just depends, but wait and see. I think.
SDK and the ruck points to Connor O'Sullivan playing key back for me. Also shows ruck continues to be a problem. Also running because it shows there's no faith in Conway's body at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Ruck at it's the reason why you guys went hard after Goldie. It's the reason why you've gone harder for a couple of other players. Wouldn't be surprised if Draper's in your sights as well. Potentially TDK and a few others. So we'll see. Geelong's always got the draw card. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But I think he'll try and go after a good mature age player.
Yeah, Draper to Adelaide though. Draper's not staying in this state. Draper's gone back home.
Geelong's not Melbourne.
Yeah, but he's going back home to South Australia.
Okay. All right.
Causa does not have Juan Francis at the moment. He has Brent Daniels.
Yep. Causa has been going hard on the Brent Daniels train. I tell you what. I think every half the dozen questions throughout the preseason of what do you guys think about Brent Daniel? What do you guys think? I'm like, cool. All right, done.
Man, Brent Daniels is a beast. He's one of the best half forwards. He plays it. We keep talking about Dylan Moore, or Darcy Moore in your case, but he is that good. He is up there. Look at this, man. He gets CBAs, but he doesn't necessarily need it. I mean, look at this: 3 goals, 195 if you don't mind. Then no CBAs, no goals for a 59. So look, you're going to be riding the highs and the lows, Causa.
It reminds me of old school Toby Green, where like he'd have a really impactful game, and then the next week he'd score 80 or 50 or 60, and it's like, oh, cool, thanks, mate. Oh, it's always a funny one.
Cherry going to be the number 1 scoring.
Well, we'll see.
Player this year.
See. It could be Cherry. It could be Sheasel. Could be a couple of others. So hopefully that just translates to wins on the board. That's the biggest thing for me this year.
Thoughts on Tom Green, gents? I love it.
You pay for what you get. Just hope he doesn't have another season like last year where he went big and then just kind of fell off a bit, dropped his scoring by a decent enough average. The early buy just hurts. Like, I'm not paying primo price for Tom Green. Other players out, I don't think affects his role too much because his role is not distributor. His role is get the ball and then go, or handball the ball off or do those kind of things. So, yeah, it's a weird one. He can rack up the pill. Don't get me wrong. There's a few 40s, there's a few 30s and things like that in the disposals, but
it's the efficiency.
Yeah, and it's not like there's going to be an increase of contests that where he doesn't get the ball and hands it off. Like Tom Green's not running up and down the field,
Look at this, man. He had 41% disposal efficiency.
Yep.
And still scored a 93.
37 times. Like
37 times.
Yeah.
Or a 93.
It's like Matt Crouch, Joe. It's like Matt Crouch gets 40 touches and a 95. Like, it's rough, man.
It's so sad to see, man. I can't do it. I just can't do it. Are you going the Insta DMs? Charles Mulder. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't really use Insta that much, to be honest. I've got Brad Scott probably as Brad saying. I got Brad Scott in there.
This week in my Supercoach team.
The centre bounce needs to work on a podcast for Spotify so I can listen to it.
Yep, we can do it. It's more just the I'm more than happy to try and, because the way that these work off recordings, so you can actually just like replay this onto Spotify, but Spotify is a weird one. Like you have to go through a third party system. You have to do a bunch of other stuff to get it done. It's not just like uploading on YouTube. So something a little bit different.
Someone get me a shotgun. Honestly, this is ridiculous. Jack Billings killed me. He killed me, and now I'm never gonna live it down.
Yep.
How many CBAs does James Peatling get? That's a good question. Let's have a look at the CBAs at Adelaide.
How many did he get last year? Because no one's really left. That's the big thing. No one's really left. Strawn, I think, got injured, but obviously he's the ruckman, so it doesn't count. They've brought him into play. So, yeah, that's all I can say. I'm not sure.
I reckon if Peatling can go anywhere between. I think if he has less than 60%,
yep,
then it's a pass. I think you want him to have more than 60%. I think Laird is going to be gone. He's playing halfback this year. Sam Berry's a question mark. Does he get 47%? Someone's going to have to miss out on some CBAs. Does Crouch continue to still be in that midfield, or is he going to be phased out? There was a large period of time where he wasn't in the side. Some question marks, but ideally you want Peatling to get at least 60%. If he gets at least 60%, then I think he'll be a decent starting selection. He'll go over 90 average. But if he's less than 60%, then I'd fade him. Yes, Laird will be playing halfback. But
I think he used to do that before, right? Before Jordan Dawson came in, he was halfback. And I think there were periods of time throughout last year and the year before where he played halfback as well. So he's getting older. I think they're going to try and play Rory Laird similar to a Zorko type and see how many more years they can get out of him.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't really in everyone's Supercoach sides when he was playing as a halfback. He really got into everyone's Supercoach side when he started to get more CBAs, I think.
At 561k, you can do better.
Yeah, end of the season last year, lost the CBAs, and he averaged a 97. Look, it's not great. There's obviously Hinge, there's Butts, Cumming. There's a few players now that could potentially be part of that distribution coming off halfback. So Rory Laird is a no for me. Skits Fits have to start calling you Channel 9, Joe, using my image without acknowledgement. What?
Did he make that?
He did not.
talk?
No. I literally clicked it in there. You can't claim that as your Skits. Get out of here. That's a funny joke. Will Ashcroft top 8 mid this year?
Oh, it's going to be fun. I don't think so. But it could be fun.
He might, but the question it's a question mark over the midfield mix. What it's going to be like in this premiership side? Honestly, what the hell? Hello, where is it?
Is that Will Ashcroft or Will Ashcroft? Like you almost need a comma.
Will Ashcroft. Yeah. Very low CBAs percentage. Grand final, 42%, 2 threes, a goal for a 128. That's 30 disposals. Like that's a top-notch game. Does he do that? How often? How often are you going to see someone go 30 at 87% with a goal? I don't know how regularly that's going to happen for a 128.
I think Ashcroft can get probably top 12. I don't know if he's going to be top 8. I think there's a world where that happens. But like Dunkley's still in the team, McCluggage is still in the team, Lockie Neal's still in the team. There's a lot of midfield time that the other guys are still taking. Does he play the same role as he did in the grand final? I'm not sure. Does top 8 even make a 115? Top 8 this year could be 120 plus, depending on who's in there. So there's a few different factors.
Look, he could. I mean, he started to get a few more CBAs towards the back end of the year. And when that happened...
How about Joe Danaher CBAs?
And when that happened...
It was good. The scoring was
over 30%. When he has over... Wait, who's this? So when you got over 30% CBAs, what's he averaging over the last 2 seasons? Over 30, over 30, over 30. Jeez, a lot of over 30s. What the hell? Is this the right column?
Yep. Well, Ashcroft.
CBAs, yeah. 40, 50, 43, 40, 36. All right, we'll just say last year. We'll just do last year's one. That's the last year before. Average 92.5. In 8 games where he had over 30% CBAs, he averaged 92.5. So is that good enough? Over 30% CBAs?
Well, it makes him around the same price as what he is now, really. Like, cool. Ashcroft is 440K, I think. I think around a 90 is 500K. So, cool. Maybe he gets to 550 and averages 100. It's not. Yeah.
What happens if he gets a bump and say he gets 40%? So if he goes over 40 plus CBAs,
yep,
he averages 104.5.
Yeah. So he makes you 100K. Yeah. Like a little bit more.
That's value. That's value. Yeah. Early buy though.
Henry's saying here everyone will have Ashcroft after round 0. Potentially they will.
Who do they play again in round 0? Brisbane.
Hey Jen, how you doing? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Oh, freaking what? No.
Yeah, you guys are playing round 0.
That's round 12.
Oh no.
Oh, against the Cats at the Gabba. Oh.
Yep.
If he scores big on the Cats at the Gabba, if he scores like a 110, then yeah, everyone will have him in the side. Because what happens next? He then plays the Swans at the SCG. Good luck.
And you can filter by teams, right?
I know. Oh, they got the Eagles at home. Get around him. The Eagles at home. That's pretty sweet. Then he has a bye.
So in the first 5 weeks, he misses out twice. Well, we don't count round 0. It's round 0.
Yeah, so it's 1 week. So in the first 5 weeks, he misses
out twice. Didn't you say round 4? He's got the week off.
No, he's got the week off in round 3.
Ah, okay, cool. No dramas then.
Yeah. He's got the week off round 3, and then he comes back. And then he comes back to play against Richmond. Oh my God. These are going to be 2 massive scores on either side of the bye. He's got Eagles and then a rest and then Richmond. These are going to be in his weekly, in his 3-week average, rolling average. He's going to make money so quickly. Holy crap.
All right. Loading up on the Ashcroft boys. Let's go.
Get on Will Ashcroft, ladies and gentlemen. It's happening. Where are we looking again? Reed. Number 1 big key forward to pick this year. Tossing up between Jamara and Larky to start off with a bang. We don't like big key forwards in our Supercoach team, Reed.
Yeah. Jamara potential.
Sam Darcy.
Not sure. I might pick Tracy just to be someone.
It's Sam Darcy for me. If you're gonna
might pick Tracy. Let's go.
Woody. That's how Adelaide fans want Crouch dropped. I agree. Yep. Maybe Laird too, but they seem to be interested in the halfback flank role.
Yep. I think. Say Supercoach. That the AFL community in general seems to be wanting to move the ball a hell of a lot quicker. I think good teams have done that. I think that's what makes Adelaide so devastating. And then, I think that's where Crouch doesn't work. And I think that's where not that Tom Green's going to get dropped, but I feel like it's something that hurts Tom Green a little bit as well.
Tom Green. Does Sam Marshall get a gig this year?
Yeah, they just got to find a spot for him. And it's probably going to be a bit like Fletcher, where halfway through the season, something's going to happen. And then, it'll figure itself out.
Dr. Code 11.
What's up, man?
I'm sorry, I completely butchered your name. Please tell me how I'm supposed to read it. Pies fan, however, always thought Dawson would go huge if he started centre bounces. Yeah, 100%. I agree. That's literally what I said. If he starts centre bounce and then floats across half back a la Tom Stewart, then lock him in. Great role, great player, great overhead that he can take intercept marks, and is normally a beautiful kick of the football. Unfortunately, last year when I had him, he was just...
It didn't work out.
He just butchered it to hell. I swear, it was ridiculous.
I'm lucky.
Nick Newman. Look, I don't know about Nick Newman personally. I just don't think about him enough. I forget he exists a lot of the times. He's had 2 years in a row where he's averaged over 100. Good for him. Pretty decent consistency. Occasionally drops down, but occasionally spikes. It's all in the marking. It's all in the marking. If he has under 7 marks, what does he average? When he averages under 7 last year, 4 marks. Average 95. 4, 1, 3. Average 88. Average 88 in 10 games when he had under 7 marks. So, look, is Carlton going to play the switcheroonies? Are they going to be fast? Are they going to be quick? Are they going to be rapid? Are they going to be all of the same words over and over again? I don't know. I'll have to look and see. We'll have to keep a close eye on Carlton over the preseason.
Yep.
Are we sleeping on Harley Reid for the breakout a la Sheasel and Dacos?
I think they're completely different players. I think Harley Reid, yes, is good, but I think Harley Reid is not as smooth as the other players. More than happy to be put wrong, but yeah,
he's a burst player. He's not an endurance player like Sheasel and Dacos. Not as much of an accumulator compared to them. He's looking to just do as much damage as possible per disposal, whereas Sheasel and Dacos are happy to run all over the ground and find the ball everywhere. So yeah, not quite the same.
Yeah, I think as well, being the one that sets you up all the goals and sets you up to really good positions and really clean hands and stuff like that is a lot better for you in Supercoach than just being damaging. Yeah. You have more impact in the game.
Todd Marshall. Yes, that's right, Shannon. We saw that. Hey, Jonas.
What's up, Jonas?
First
hope you
comment
liked
you.
Yeah. Mate. What did you hear about Supercoach? Okay. I don't know the joke, but I'll say okay.
Well, just wait for the punchline. Jonas is our resident funny man. We've missed you, Jonas. We've missed you, mate. What do you guys think about the Petrarca situation? Does that help or hurt Oliver? Rivers could be a lock. I think that Petrarca is already running again and could do all he can to get back into the side. I think Oliver is still going to be Oliver. He is still see ball, get ball, one of the best contested players in the league. When he's fit and firing, which it appears that he is fit and firing. So I think Oliver should be a lock in all of our teams, regardless of what happens with Petrarca. Does Rivers, though, become a lock? Well, Rivers becomes a lot more interesting. Do they give more responsibility to others? to play in the centre bounces. Well, who else have they got?
I think we spoke about it a lot in our breakout defenders video, right? Like, I think Rivers is a pretty fair swap for Brayshaw. No longer being in the team and something that he offers, a bit of run and carry through the middle that Oliver's powerful, Petrarca's powerful, but they're not as quick as the Rivers. They're not as slender, and I don't think they've got as good of a ball skills. So that works out quite well. I don't think he's a lock though. I think there's better players. I think that's just
I'm considering it. I'm considering it. I mean,
you're considering picking Trent Rivers this year to start your team.
Look, he's not going to play. There's no way they can let him play. Now, Tom Sparrow didn't get a big bump up. Rivers got a bump.
Yeah,
Neil Bullen featured a bit too, but Neil Bullen is gone. So they've now got less players who can run through the midfield, unless they give some of the youngsters more of a crack, like Harley Langford, for example. He seems to be a bigger bodied player, so Harley Langford might be given a baptism of fire and thrown into the deep end to just play in the guts right from the start, potentially. Lindsay, I think, is going to be more of a halfback type player, but we'll have to look and see how they go from here on out with the practice games. If Trent Rivers, rather than having 30% CBAs, gets closer to 50% CBAs, then at that price point, it's hard to say no, I think.
We'll see.
Jesse Hogan started at 400k last year and then 557.
I picked him to start the season as well. Joe and I off here have talked about Mickey Mouse matchups and the Carlton definitely having one of those. Harry Mackay and Kerno aren't super expensive either. You have to learn when to jump off because Hogan did have crappy points throughout the year where he didn't score well and where other people's selections, even if he was a keeper, they started scoring a lot more. So, yeah, if you can pick up when it's a great time to jump off these players and work out which ones have the better picks, go for it. Like, if you're I don't think one has it this year, but they played North Melbourne and then West Coast the week after, and I think someone else the week after as well. So, yeah, it was a pretty much a bang, bang, bang scoring affair for him.
Why is Shazer not a lock? I'm not sure anyone said Shazor's not a lock.
I think he is, mate.
Cam Guthrie, if he plays, old and injury prone. No thanks.
Yeah, I think you can do
that. I did a video hunting for vintage action figures, aka DR Exposed Part 2. Old gal says to DR, my husband will be back in 10 minutes. DR does the dirty real quick and gets out of Dodge. Supercoach DR presents how to split up a marriage in a single pick.
All right.
Nah, he's a legend, DR. He is an absolute legend of the community. The video where he was doing his live team reveal and then was reacting live to the carnage about Petrarca and Dacos, that was so good. Love that. I'm off Petrarca. Once you break a rib, they can just keep breaking in the same spot. I agree with you, Woody. I wasn't going to pick Rivers either until Petrarca got injured. So look, it'll be interesting.
He's still playing. He's not out.
Well, if he plays, then I think there is real possibility for a lawsuit because they really don't. They're really mismanaging their players over there at Melbourne.
Yeah.
Letting him get back on the field after that horrific injury is just ridiculous. But yeah, Trent Rivers is certainly one to keep an eye on. If he's getting 50% CBAs, this is his first time in the role. Average 92, and he's priced at 85. So there's not that much value. But then again, this is his first time ever playing that role. So
yeah,
there should be
need about 20
plus
in terms of value to get it to be worth it, I think.
Alrighty then.
Unless he's going from rookie to keeper.
All right. We went on for about 4 minutes longer than anticipated. But having said that, it's been an even 2 hours live stream. So thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you haven't liked already, please hit that like button. It'll certainly help with the algorithm. Subscribe if you're new. Notification bell to not miss out on any of our videos and streams.
Yeah, guys, we've got a few interesting, exciting things coming up. So stay tuned for all of those. As Joe says, mate, best thing to do is hit that subscribe, hit the like button, stay in touch. Message us all your questions on Facebook. We've been having a few people do that as well throughout the week. And yeah, stay tuned for some more things.
Because here at the Centre Bounce, we do the hard work so that you guys don't have to.
Bye for now. And we'll see you next Monday, 7 p.m. Next Monday, 7 p.m.
Can I press that button now?
Yeah, go for it.